But yeah.
Man, your comment section. I wrote a comment in there too. Your comment section never know when we're playing something up. Boy, Jesus Christ, they're kind of dense, aren't they?
They're like, why are you making his voice like that? Like, I was having fun with it. Damn, I was having fun with it, bro. I wasn't.
Yeah, they're some funny guys, man. I'm like, God damn, they don't really we playing it up a little. This is why, kid. This is why me coming in the Tower of God. This country's a little bit more like kind of like neutral now. I said, damn, see, they can't handle all three of us playing it up. I said, see, I said I'm gonna let Nye and Timmy play it up. I'm gonna be like the neutral corner.
It was so funny to me because I'm like, okay, like, like, we're obviously going overboard. You know, we're just having fun with it. The same way we
Yeah.
did the jokes like Gustang coming and all. Like, we're just having fun with it. You know what I'm saying?
A little something like Eenie, Meanie, right from the beginning. Smoke a little pack, but the pack never timid. Church, but I'm seeing it. Curse when I'm winning. She need a new back. When it's back, I'ma bend it. Slap up some guinea, pass me the hen it. Watch a nigga black slip yak, I'ma quit it. Swerve in the Benzie, perfume is Fendi. Bob and move fast, real fast like I'm Ricky. That's 'cause I'm pretty, came from the dirt. Shovel up a nigga, can't handle the work. Ooh, yeah, swing with it first. Young white girl like a ram.
I do think that the main problem that they're having is like, I don't. I don't literally like. It's hard to explain it. It's not literally that I think Bam is like whatever, whatever. It's just that SIU don't portray it that way. Like I don't like when I feel that I'm doing the author's work for them. Like I'm rationalizing, I'm filling in the blanks myself with my own headcanon. I would like you to do a little bit of that on your own. You know what I'm saying? Do I believe
Yeah.
that Bam creates best friend? Of course I do. But how am I supposed to really believe that this dude gave a crap about Prince Arkham like that? Like you never called, you never inquired, you never thought. Like where have they been? Like you just never, like you don't check. Like a small little moment, a small panel, a small tidbit of that would have gone a long way. Even if it's one time, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, and the problem is too. This is what I was saying. This problem more about how SIU's writing style. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, he cared about him because this moment that happened 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But the thing is though, like, I mean, maybe so because niggas do this with their friends in real life. So maybe that's fine. It's like here, like you said, and also the thing is, see, now that he's done this, the likelihood of him doing some type of flashback or some shit like that is very high because that's just how he tends to write. It's just like, okay, I revealed this to you. Now here's a flashback, somewhere between the next 5 chapters to tell you like what happened. I just, using flashbacks is fine, but I don't feel like you should use flashbacks like this every single time. It like you should put it in the course of the story, so when things like this happen, it's obvious. And also, to me, it's like I thought somebody made a good point, and I was like, yeah, it's more about like that. And to me, in a lot of regards, it's just that Bam is Bam is somebody that he's always going back and forth with this morality thing about people even just dying in the first place. Because we saw it in the second chapter, he was crying when he thought Rack and those guys were dead. I mean, the second season. And then in the third chapter, he's going through this whole thing. I'll sacrifice whoever it takes, this, that, the other to save Ding Sung. It doesn't matter. I don't even really know if I cared that Ding Ding is dead. Like he was going through that phase. And now we're back here. So like the morality of Tower God sometimes feels kind of inconsistent.
Which I'm okay with because morality and probably in real life is that way. But again, I just think that the disconnect is coming with the same way I feel about Karaka. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Sorry, but what's up?
No, you're good.
We here. I ain't read the new chapter yet. About to say this nigga's so selfish. During the train arc, consistently put everyone in danger for the greater good. Most of his crew can't keep up. Yep. What's up? Your people salty in the TOD video. They're salty as hell. This is the most dislikes I've gotten in a while. So I love it. It's good. It's because it's creating discourse. I have no problem with that. My only problem is that they're kind of misunderstanding where I'm coming from. Not that they disagree. I have no problem they disagree, but they're misunderstanding my point of view because I make this point a lot with the Karaka thing. No, like me and you have no issue with him feeling a type of way about Bam and Jin Sung's relationship. That's not the issue. That's believable, right? We know how we always use the Daenerys situation in Game of Thrones. Nobody is not, like during the course of her life and the relationship that her family has had with some people in King's Landing and whatnot. Her being angry enough to want to burn that city down always made sense. But how did we get there? What were the events, the steps, the scenes, the character moments? Was it seamless? Was it nice? No, I find that it was ugly. I have no problem with, Karaka actually caring about Hadin Sung, but where was until he said that shit randomly in the last station? Why was I supposed to believe that based on portrayal? Where is the panel, text, or combination of the two that's supposed to make me think that? Where? That's what I'm saying. So, yeah.
And there's varying degrees of like obviously like Ever said, he cared about Teen Sweet Sour, but couple things, right? When he was with them, obviously he was a different person. So I understand why people are just like, oh, he obviously did care. Like, yeah, I get it. Like he was with them for a while. They kind of helped normalize him back to normal. But these teams, like I said, these teams have been separate for a long time. And also, he decided to go with the main team. And also, it was just like when the stuff was happening with when they separated in the first place, he was like, Wagner was like, oh, we got to go on our own, do this, and then and that happened. And like I said, how long ago was that? When's the last time we thought to them? When's the last time we brought them up? Look how much stuff we've been through since the thing. He hasn't even seen his original squad in a long time, and we don't even see him ask questions about that. So it's not like he never cared about them. He don't care about them. And like I said, we were playing it up, obviously, but it's just like, good Lord.
I do think he's a bad friend. That's true. I don't think he's a good friend though. But you could, like we're gonna get all of this because I'm gonna throw them a bone. I'm not gonna k-fob this and just play it up the way I want to in the future. I'm gonna be a little more serious. But hold on. TOG fans, similar to OP fans, I've noticed both fan bases have extremely annoying factions that are also very loud. That's the truth. It's about showing the events instead of letting people make theories. Thank you, Katan. Like, that's what I'm saying. Bam's friends care about him more than the other way around. Totally feel that. Like, I hear them talk about wanting to follow Bam and help him and protect him and he's in danger, yada. I don't really see the other way around. It's not that it's never happened. It doesn't happen. And, like, I don't think Bam's a bad person. He's a good dude. Like, he's a pretty good-natured kid. Like, I don't think he's an asshole. I just, like... I think you could be a bad friend without knowing that. I think Goku is not a terrible person, but he's a fucking horrible dad, horrible friend, horrible uncle, all of that. He's terrible, all that shit. Nigga, just a meathead. But I don't think he's a bad dude. But so like with Bam, to me, a lot of it is like maybe because he was in the cave for so long. Like I could make so many excuses for this. Like right now, his mission is so important. Sacrifices might have to be made. The weight on his shoulders is completely different from the weight of the shoulders on his friends, right? Maybe he never had time to focus on this because so many things were happening so fast, from Jihad, the Three Orders, Hell Train, White, Howquin, whatever. Like none of that's lost on me. But all I needed was, as I said, a moment, a scene. Like, how do we always felt like his reaction to Kun's quote unquote, remember people in the comment section said that like Aguero didn't die. Yes, in hindsight, in retrospect, but there was a moment that all we knew was that she blew his heart up. He was dead. Until we learned that he was in suspended animation because of his direct descendant bloodline, yada yada yada. So, if my quote unquote best friend dies, what do you think is happening to the person who did that? You're done. To use Boris's line from Dogma Academia, I'll atomize you, like you're done. So, yeah. Yeah, I felt like Season 2 Karaka would cautiously stay away from Nest. A big point for me is I don't get why the Machete lot compare Bam to the 10 greats, and those guys don't give a crap about normal people. Then are we supposed to say Bam cares? I think the only reason is just because it's like the irregular connection. That's the best thing I can just make, because they're all irregulars and they kind of defy the rules of the tower, like Neo in the Matrix, if you will. He often gives them that same vibe or feeling. The crew will catch up to Bam when he goes to do missions for All High Song. You think so? That's interesting. I never heard that one. I don't know if they can catch up to him. I think they can close the gap in some way, and still be very useful, even if it's just from like Aguero and Ship will always be useful because they're highly intelligent. Even if they can't be in a part of the fight, they can scheme behind the scenes, come up with plans and machination tactics, strategies, yada yada yada. So if someone could like play a role, I could be fine with that. Like I don't need Nami to be out here beating people. Nami got to navigate. You know what I'm saying? Like so, I could live with that, but I don't know if they can really catch up to him in terms of power. So, yeah. The point about Kun being dead and people saying it was attempted murder is a difference. You know how it was shown the same scenario in Cabrera. That's true. And also, like, at the end of the day, like, she still attempted to take his life. Like, is that not significant? That's your friend, isn't it? Like, Rack and Aguera are his best friends in your opinion, right? Would you agree with that, Vince?
Yeah, you gotta realize too, Kun is legit the first person he met in the tower that wasn't
Like hate on or whatever, yeah.
that wasn't Rachel, Hedon, or Yuri. So like the
And
first major people on his level that he met. And Kun has been with him through everything. Kun, do you know how mad Kun was when he died? When Kun thought that Rachel killed Baam?
Yep.
He came up with a whole entire plan and stuck with her for 2 years. He even carried her through the tower when he thought, she didn't have nothing to do with it because that's how much he cared about Baam. But when it was on the other foot, we didn't seem to get that same level of care. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody's like, oh, but it's Rachel. But at some point, you got to stand on something. You got to stand on your belief system. Mm-hmm. Rachel has denied you 2 or 3 times to this point. And Kun has been on your side the entire time. At some point, you got to say enough is enough. Exactly. But then he said, but all he did was, oh, next time I really will kill you. What did she learn from that? And then in fact, she gonna make him chase her because she was like, oh, I still got information I can hang over your head.
And then she left with Yura. Rack had one job, but he couldn't stop her, by the way. I didn't forget that. But yeah, it's just, again, it's a matter of truly of portrayal because, like, I don't know why I'm comparing these two because they're such different characters in my opinion. But like what I would say with Luffy is you always see that moment with Luffy. Like Luffy's an idiot. He's an ape monkey just running around doing things. But you always have those moments where like Vivi's tripping and then Luffy will have a moment where it's like, yo, you can't save everybody. We're your friends. We're here to help you. Then he punches her back. He's hitting what I'm supposed to do. Like, yo, sacrifice our lives as well. We're your friends, are we not? We're here to help. Like, Luffy has those moments. Like, Luffy, something could be happening, and Luffy won't say anything, but just based off his expression, he's feeling like, that's all I need. That's it. Give me a panel, a piece of text. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm fucking asking for.
I read some of the comments. Baam is a GOAT tier friend. He saves his friends from the corruption of the tower. If Kun had his way, then they would go up being doomed.
Kun had his way. We get some results. Hold on. No, I do agree that he's kept a certain level of innocence and whatnot, and he stopped them from putting their hands too far in the mud where they can't come back. But
that's not what he's doing. See,
go ahead.
That's fine for the first 2 seasons, but that's not what he's been doing in season 3. Mm-hmm. Baam said he was willing to do whatever to save Jin Sung, and that's why we had the whole contention with the second Red Witch. That was like, listen, everybody can't do what you're doing. That's also why we just saw the chapter with Hats saying they can't keep up with this. Yeah. So honestly, you're talking about if Kun had his way, they'd be doomed. If Kun had his way, they probably wouldn't be dealing with half the conflict they're dealing with right now, because of the Baam selfishness. Whatever is for a good reason or not, because they had to pause their whole entire journey to go and save Jin Sung, that's putting them in more danger because to save Jin Sung, they have to fight people of the tower they might have never even had to deal with on a regular basis. They have to deal with Haigh-Rankers, Jihad's army. Just being with Baam itself is a danger. Not good. And I know Baam feels some responsibility for that at times, but then other times he's one-track minded and he's willing to do whatever it takes, or at least he says that in his little monologues and stuff like that. That's why I always say some of the things are so jarring that happen, because he says one thing, but then another thing happens, or SIU's telling us that we're supposed to feel one way, and then another way happens. To me, in my opinion, that's what it feels like. Now, some people, like I said, they just go along with whatever they're told to feel. Mm-hmm. Me, I'm not like that. I go with how I actually feel. I always apply myself. Normally, when I read or watch anything, I kind of put myself in that situation. How would I feel if that happened to me? Now, I try to take account what the author's intent was, but also I think some of that stuff, from a logical human standpoint, it don't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like we do the stuff with because to me this is very similar, and that's why I say I feel like he's going to use a flashback. This is very similar to the time he did with Jing Sung. Yeah, he had moments here and there with Jing Sung, and we saw Jing Sung kind of caring about him. In fact, when I reread it, I was like, oh, Jing Sung cared about him a little bit more than I thought initially
No, he.
on a reread.
I always said on his side of things, it was easy. Like Jin Sung definitely cared about Viola. It was hard for me to see that with Bam. Not that it's unbelievable, but he never displayed that. It's like these guys were holding you hostage, so to speak, your friends, so to speak. So like you didn't mess with them, which was understandable. Like yo, that you kind of shouldn't like them. Like I was okay with that, and then it turned into what it turned into. But go ahead, let me cut you off. Vince. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Yeah.
But now I'm reading the comment again.
Mm-hmm.
But Kuhn said Bam is growing too fast and that he will lose him. So who is actually selfish here? But we know
Aguero's selfish. Yeah,
that's not a point of contention. We all know that. He said that. We also know he plays dirty. He don't play by the rule. But what Bam's doing in season 3 is pretty selfish. You have to admit that. I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. But what he's doing in general in this whole season has been from a pretty selfish standpoint because it don't have nothing to do with any of them. But because they're his friends, they're going along with it. But they're putting themselves in danger for him.
I also would say this, right? I don't think selfishness is necessarily a bad trait, and the reason why I say that is because one of my favorite analogies to use is the reverse and ready technique that we have to use as lifeguards when you're saving somebody. We learned this. I learned this in NLS, right? So, just to go through this really quickly. Usually, before you hop in the water, you want to throw a couple of flotation devices, make sure they're okay. But if you're not, now you have to hop in, right, the water to save the drowning victim. So let's say Vince is drowning and I go in to save him, right? The way that I approach Vince is in a position where my leg is out to literally kick this nigga off of me if he tries to just jump and latch onto me. Now that seems very fucked up. I'm the rescuer. Why would I kick the drowning victim? If you're going crazy and you can't relax yourself and you latch onto me, we could both drown. I have to be in a protected position in order to help him. Bam has selfish traits in him. Bam is selfish. That doesn't necessarily make him a bad person. And Aguero is a selfish person. And you know what family he comes from. So he's cunning, he's conniving, he's a little deceitful and everything like that. But that's, again, it's not a point of contention. We understand that about Aguero and we accept that. We need that, actually. Him and Juan Yuna are kind of willing to go a little further than most people, and we kind of need that because these goody two-shoe morons will sometimes get themselves in bad situations because they don't want to just put their hand in the mud a little bit. I agree with you that with the way Bam is, I do think he somewhat tempers people from going around him from going way too far in a bad direction. But my problem with Bam is that I need to see more friendly interaction where I see Bam care about the individual on his side more often. Just like with the Ha-Jin Sung thing, I would argue always, I see Ha-Jin Sung fixing his collar, telling him to be happy, Viola, smile, blah, blah, blah. On the other side of their relationship, I can tell they care about him. I know Aguero cares about him. I know Rat cares about him. I know Ship and those guys care about him. It's not that I don't think Bam doesn't care. I just don't see it often enough. Where like I have to fill in those blanks myself. I have to basically be like, oh, probably in 449 when I didn't see it, they had a picnic or something. I don't want to do that. Just show me. Show me that shit. That's all I'm saying. So yeah.
Yep, I agree. I'm not gonna argue the point anymore because at some point people just gotta feel how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nah, it's just that he's been selfish for most of season 3. Like you said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And sometimes, to me, people say that, but sometimes you have to make decisions. Being a good leader and making decisions about the betterment of the group and stuff like that. But that's just me. So it's whatever. But yeah, we'll probably, like I said, I probably think SIU would do things like I really think he's using this. And the reason he did even had White said in all this in the first place is because he's using it to tie in for a Wagner storyline.
Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that.
He's doing it for a Wagner storyline because the whole point was like, how are we gonna tie Wagner back into all this? We need to know who Wagner was supposed to kill and all sorts of stuff. So I think it's to cause a bend in the relationship between Bam and them people. Now I don't know if I doubt he's gonna go solo or anything like that. I heard some people say that. I don't know about that, I mean, honestly, I don't think it'd be the worst thing, to be honest, because all his friends need to get stronger. They all suck.
That's true.
So
They're lagging behind badly. But hold on. Okay, yeah, he does what he wants. Hats is what I call a good friend. In defense of him trying to take off Quinn's arms and Dorsey's life was on the line. That was true. Remember, when he's just like, I got a mission to do. Like, yeah, but my name, my life. Yeah, but the mission, though. It was literally the speed racer scene.
yeah,
he
yeah,
just,
yeah.
he just speeds up to win the race. He didn't put them in danger. They came of their own accord to help him because they respect him, and he ain't selfish at all. He's totally selfless, actually going out of his way to save everybody. If I remember correctly, he even told him not to come. This is a hard point to argue. Where it's like I would argue that not argue. Luffy is also extremely selfish. You just know he cares about the people that matter to him. There's nothing wrong with having selfish desires. That to me that's not inherently good or bad trait. It depends on what you do with it. If I'm an upcoming athlete and I'm mad, abrasive towards my family who wants this and that, blah blah yada yada, and then I make it and I come back and give back because I actually made it now, was that really selfish? I had to put you guys off because you're asking for me too much, but I need to focus to get to where I get to. But now that I've made it and I have the money, now I can actually help. Like, you have to look at selfishness in that way, where I think Bam has goals in mind, the things he needs to do. So he's single-minded and focused. That's the selfish part about him. And now he's kind of willing to have to do a little more, like seeing dead bodies. Like, no, I did this to save my master. I have to look. And you're seeing all the dead bodies looking like he's growing in that sense. But again, for me, it's not about like him being selfish. I don't care about that. That's okay. My problem is that I just don't see him. I just don't see him caring about his friends as much as his friends definitely care about him. Like Hots is talking about. I want to follow behind him. I even thought that line was jarring to me because I'm like, I don't really see Hots and Bam talk like that. So like, I was just like, even when Hat said that, didn't I bring up like that's a weird line to me because like, really and truly, if it's like maybe like Endorsey, what you call it, like Rack and Kun or whatever, I'm totally fine because like those that I always see them together. With certain characters, it's like you're gonna have to show me something. And again, like Vince says, I'm tired of you using flashbacks as a crutch. You know, flashback friends in quotations. What's up
I
already?
mean, Bam's whole thing is that everybody's drawn. It's kind of like it reminds me of like. Oh, I always thought the best comparison to Bam is always like it's kind of like Gone in the Chimera Ant arc, where it's like it feels like all of Bam's friends are kind of like Killua. They're all drawn to his light and that charisma from that. But from his point of view, I know he's friends in the big picture of everything because like they hanged out as a group, they went through things together as a group. Yes, big picture, you can see that. That's obvious. It's the same thing with sweet and sour. Big picture, he was with them. They were in a jacuzzi together a couple times. They played some card games. Here, that, and the other. So yes, like on paper, a lot of this stuff. You know that it's there, but it's just like with like this is kind of a point that we make that we like. On one hand, we want you to show us, not tell us. We know that he's friends with certain things, but it's just like if I have friends and I ain't seen them in 800 years, I would have liked something like, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be like 10, 12 panels devoted to that. But it's like, the little small panels that you see from time to time. I don't know what to call them, but it's like, because they're not like comedic, but it's just like, the little small things that bring up that don't necessarily have like the full on best art style or anything like that. But it's like they say things in passing.
Yep.
Oh shit, I don't know why that cut. But they say things in passing like, "Oh, did you call so and so and so and so?" And they were like, "Yeah," and then they would just keep going to the rest of the chapter. It's almost something that happens to like if you're not paying attention, it feels like you would barely see it unless you were paying attention to it. But a lot of manga does stuff like that all the time. Where just like you read One Piece and they leave little hints about Sanji being a prince, like with his name and stuff like that. But it's like that stuff that like when you got to it and they finally revealed it, you were like, oh, like yeah, like they were all sorts of droppings of it the entire time.
Yep.
And I'm talking about shit like that. That's the way you do it if you're gonna do it. But like I said, what's probably gonna happen at some point is probably gonna be a flashback. I just know SIU like flashback king. He loves using flashbacks to tell you everything.
Yep.
So I'm not even arguing big picture because
Kishimoto
I don't.
gimmick.
Because I'm not even arguing big picture that people saying what they're saying is wrong. Like
It's
that's
not.
just
He's
silly.
not.
Yeah,
Like it's just like I need to see it more. Like it's so. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just find it so jarring a lot of the time. Well, this is a big problem when I read T.O.G. I see too much kindness from Bam, especially. You think so? If Bam is the light, everyone is following him. What does that make Rachel since he's chasing her? I mean, Bam might be the night though, the darkness. You never know. He might be the night.
yeah. He might lead everybody to ruin. They're chasing after him. He might
Yeah,
lead them all to destruction. You
you
never
don't
know.
you don't know, right? Rachel's a black hole, I guess. Learning your morals from Rachel is the perfect recipe to end up a good person. It's funny because like, who said it? Was it Miles? One of them said something really good in the chat where it was like, you could kind of think about the principle of like what Rachel taught him. It still applies about caring about people and maybe the way he treats women a certain way. Like, you know, you never betray a girl's trust, blah, 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 yada, yada. Like, that's still instilled in him. Like, Rachel did technically instill good morals and ethics into him. She just didn't walk her talk, you know?
Yeah.
So, hold on. I like Wagner because he's unorthodox way of living. As a protagonist, would exchange him for Bam any day. Yeah, we talked about like who we thought would be a good MC if we didn't use Bam, and Wagner came up a
Bam
lot.
and Wagner have similar qualities. Wagner also has a charisma it's funny. It's funny because Wagner is basically a perfect example of this. Wagner had a lot of friends. He had a lot of people following him. What happened to them? They all end up dying.
Yep.
That's his curse. He always lives through whatever the worst situation is, and everybody around him just dies.
Say brainwashed Bam good. Flashback versus SIU. I like the community making the story instead of SIU just showing it. That's the thing where it's like even One Piece fans do this a lot. Where it's like we do so much filling in the blank for Oda. We're like Oda didn't do this. Like we did it, or the anime did it. You know, the anime filled it in. Where it's
Yeah,
like it's
everybody
cool.
always talks about headcanon, but I feel like everybody like I saw somebody in the comment section was like, "Oh, Bam's friends are gonna catch up when they get to Walk Song or whatever." I'm like, we don't know that. That's like a pretty big assumption. I almost got to a point where when I was rereading it, I was like, you know what? We've always been like just saying that like, oh, these people are gonna climb up the tower. Like we're like, oh, Hotz is gonna beat a Ari swordsman. Oh, we're gonna have a princess war. Like we do a lot of assuming in our own head canon in the fan base based on itself. We actually don't know if these things are gonna happen or not. None of these things are written in stone, and a lot of stuff SIU said 7, 8 years ago have now been retconned. So like there's no guarantee this stuff. There's no guarantee that most of this group is gonna make it to the end. The only people I feel kind of comfortable saying are gonna make it to the end of Tower of God with Bam are Kun, Rack, and maybe in Dorsey. Everybody else, I have no clue. They all legitimately could die, and I wouldn't be shocked at this point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like Bam views his friends more like possessions than friends. What do you feel about that? I don't know about possessions. Maybe I don't know. Like,
That's an interesting way of putting it, but no, I don't. I guess I kind of see where he's going with, but nah, I think he sees them as friends. I think he's a little bit past that. Like I think he knows what a legitimate friend is because I understand that viewpoint though, because he like we sometimes we see him as a baby, like he just learned these things from the standpoint. And he doesn't want anything to happen. No, I just think that like sometimes I feel like he cares more about them more from a morality standpoint, more just like because like Rachel was like, you don't let this happen to your friends, than genuine friendship or relationship, or because of the onus he puts on himself, like with the Jinx Sun situation.
yeah.
Because it was just like him doing all that crying and going crazy, like that doesn't it's not that it doesn't make sense, but it's just like from the relationship that we saw on paper, there was no reason for him to be doing all that. He could have been shocked. He could have been like, why did y'all do that? He could have been a little upset, but him going like start crazy and going, I gotta go, like, I'm gonna destroy you all and I'm gonna save my master. But it's just like, but your master, like, he did certain things for you, but like
Here's
I
how.
don't know, like the
Here's what I'm thinking too. Real quick. Sorry. You know how we kind of reacted to the Louis Dang Dang thing? Like there was remorse and like I messed up. I gotta be better, do better. Like that's kind of how I think I would have liked him to more so react to that news here, where it was like have I been so stuck on my journey that I didn't even think to see if Prince and Arc Raptor were okay? Like like have I lost sight of of my you know what I'm saying, like a moment like that I think would have made more sense. But I do understand the fact that White's pressing him in a way that it is. He may not be able to think that rationally. So I'm not saying that's what SIU should have done, but I think that reaction would have sat a lot better with me. The way he kind of reacted to the death of Dang Dang. But yeah. Let me read the comments real quick.
Yeah, no, and if they see, and the thing is for SIU, that's still like a possibility that could happen. Like, I don't want to, like, that's why I say I'm trying to keep, like, I keep a level head about this. Like, that may happen within the next couple of chapters because Bam monologues a lot too. So it's just like I wouldn't be surprised if, like, after he calms down, because they just jumped the little panel thing, right? So yeah, so he's disappearing off the platform or whatever. So there might be a point where he talks to himself, and he's gonna put the onus on himself. So so it might happen. What you said it's gonna happen. That legitimately might happen.
Yeah, just like how they caught up in the hidden flow when they learned their attributes for about 2 seconds. Well, technically, and Dorsey learned it first, and they were like, she was the one who learned it first. But yeah, he just got his tension from V and everything. Not from V, V. He has V's tension, and then he learned how to do it from what couldn't do on. That's exactly right, Naya. SIU and Oda get away with letting us fill in the gaps too often. Far too often. Far too often. Like, I'm not writing this. You do it. Like, I just want to, But it is my biggest con with One Piece right now. I feel like he's obligated to care about their deaths due to the lessons given by him by Rachel. That's a good point. Y'all bugging. Bam changes the fate of everyone around him, just like Jihad and Tengu family to make it to the end. On God. I don't think Vince was saying that, like, the cast won't get there. He's more so saying that, like, the only ones he's very confident that will make it to the end with him are Rack, Aguero, and Dorsey. That's all he's saying. Like,
yeah, I'm just saying there's no guarantee.
He's saying like if Hockney doesn't make it, like, he wouldn't be shocked. Basically, is what he's saying. He's not saying, But yeah, do you really want a story with no hardship like that? That's one thing about this story that I feel I get a inkling a lot of the times where, like, some of the tension doesn't feel as real to me, but I do think this situation is getting more and more dire right now. But
see, I argue that this is the closest that Bam's been to death, I guess you could say, since he fought White the first time. To be honest, this is the first time where I legitimately he's legitimately, like, having trouble. Like, Jihad, sorry.
I would say maybe that Jihad. Yeah, maybe that Jihad.
Yeah, since he fought Data Jihad, it's the first time in a while they were like, oh, he's legitimately, like, struggling. And even then, Data Jihad was really kind of, other than White, those were the 2 times in the story where I legitimately like, oh, this guy's, like, a legitimately issue. So it's cool to see White in that role again. Because Data Jihad, like, Bam was legitimately, like, afraid for his life. He started screaming. Like, he was like, hey, yo, like,
what is this monster thing?
This guy might actually kill me. Like, this is the time since then. So it's been a while since because every other time Bam fought in recent memory, we were just all like, okay, like, he's obviously stronger than me.
We didn't even worry about Godot. We're like, yeah, he's cooked.
Yeah, right, yeah. And he was way stronger. And even a little bit now,
yes,
I still feel like we still very confident, other than obviously him being the main character, obviously. But even storyline wise, we're still pretty confident that Bam is gonna overcome the situation, because we're like, oh, he's gonna use the thorn, he's gonna use the other thorn, he's gonna use the so we still feel pretty confident, even though White's probably supposed to be significantly stronger than him right now. That Bam's gonna find a way to either equal him or overmatch him. But yeah, this is the first time at least somebody I see, and that's the thing too. We seen, like, actual physical damage on the paper.
Like, he's bleeding, his shirt and clothes are in tatters.
I wasn't told in a blog post or by somebody making up a headcanon like, oh, Bam was in danger because this, and this. No. It was actually on the paper. I'm seeing him take damage. He almost cut his arms off. That was really nice to see. And even when he tried to quote-unquote block White's attack, he was still taking damage. Really nice detail, really nice value.
And I'm gonna add this, and maybe this is not a point that people want to hear, but a part of the problem too is anytime Bam has been kind of matched or outclassed, it's always somebody who's extremely special in their own right. You know what I'm saying? Like, why was, like, I don't know why this is completely personal, so just take it as a personal thing. But it always bothered me that the first person I looked at Bam and told him he was too weak was fucking Caliban of all people. Like that dude is in a tippy top. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I've always wished that he ran into somebody a little more unassuming, more regular, under the radar that could give
That's why
him
I really
work.
wanted that. That's why I really wanted that Charlie thing. I think that Charlie example would have been like, obviously now we can't go back and retcon. I really think a really nice thing would have been if Charlie, when he used white noise, if he was able to cut Bam but not kill him, but if he would have been able to damage him,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been a really nice realization that Bam would have been like, oh, okay, I still have a really long way to go. Like that's a ranker, and like he caught me, even though he caught me off guard, I couldn't do anything about it. He
Mm-hmm.
got me in a move and I had no answer.
Yeah.
And then if Charlie would, because the other thing that would make that so good, Charlie was a new ranker.
Yes.
Charlie was newly appointed. That's why I think that's the Charlie wasn't somebody who's been a ranker for like 8,000 years. He just got there. So I thought that would have been an important point. Where it's just like, okay, this is where Bam was, and this
Mm-hmm.
is somebody who just became a ranker, and there's still a difference between those guys. Now, obviously, at that point, I would expected Bam to fill in the gap and gain that power quickly.
Yes.
But just from a storytelling perspective, I think that just would have been a really good moment for the readers also to see like, okay, Bam was at this power, because it would have confirmed things too. When he fought Data Jihad, we had no confirmation of what that actually meant.
Yeah. Because
Like, we don't know how strong Data Jihad was because it was a data version of Jihad. We don't know
plus
when he got there, how strong he was, nothing.
plus I still argue that he kind of like just let it go. Like he could have still, they could both still fight. They could both stuff kept going. You never know how it could have went and turned out. But
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, SIU has already told you that he believes that, like, this is the point where you're supposed to have plot armor right here. So I expect the band, like, we all expect that. Like, I know
mm-hmm.
people get really like confused, like, what did you expect for to happen? Bam's in a regular and this, that, and the other. I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point. When you write this stuff, you're supposed to at least try to make even though it's a head fake, you're supposed to try to make your reader believe that the characters are actually in danger. So when stuff does go their way and stuff does happen for them, you're just like, oh great, you're rooting for that. But sometimes if you're seeing the stuff that happens in Tower of God, you don't really believe it. Like I guess for just not me personally, not Nye. We don't believe it. Like we're just like he's gonna get out of this. Like come on, dude. Like this guy beating him, this guy right here, who is he? Why is he important?
Wool talking shit. He's not the guy. So
Yeah, like Varagol coming back in the picture. Who cares? What do you say, Godo or whatever? Like, who cares? Like that guy is not important enough for me to really believe that like Bam is going to lose to him.
yeah.
Like it's just not. So it's really nice that White is important enough from his position and stuff like that. You actually believe, even though we know it's not gonna happen, we all know Bam is not gonna lose to White. He's either going to run away and disappear and fight him at a later date, or he's going to use all of his powers, and we're going to see how strong he truly is with his power to diminish spells, with his two thorns, with the souls inside of him. We're going to see all of that in one piece. So, like, we already know that either one of those two things are happening. So
Mm-hmm.
then we'll get Bam fighting at full power, because Bam hasn't been fighting at full power in a long time. So, but we know that, but it's going to require all of him
Yeah.
to fight and beat White. So at least it's like, okay, he's kind of in danger. He kind of stuff that's happening. So, but it's just like, yeah, but most of the time, especially since in the season 2, most of 3, it's like I have no chance that I believe that. Even when Caliban was in front of him, even though we know Caliban was stronger than him and stuff like that, it's just like, man, Caliban's not doing it.
I think with the Caliban part too, we knew who was around him with the Van Kill and stuff too. So we're like, like he was traveling with so many monsters. It's like and he's one of the monsters with them. Like it's not even like he's out. Like obviously he shouldn't be weak. He should be weaker than them, but he's a monster in his own right. So it is what it is. Hold on. As long as SU doesn't kill off the MVP Mulov, we good. You'd love to see it. White carrying the arc right now. So is my Neko. What does Timmy say? Nyan's Neko season. Yeah, Bam, Rocket, Guerrero, and Dorsey, and Mulov will be the final team. Hey, I like that. The more Mulov I get, where you at? Where's my guy at? Kind of hard to take a villain too seriously when he got a Van Kill and his fan club of Slayers. They're supporting him. I kind of agree with you, but I think now that I've seen how strong Yas Ratchet is and stuff, and I'm kind of I think like Bork and Machete and stuff. Like I do think it's probably going to be a big deal. But I hear you. Like he's traveling with monsters in their own right, so it's kind of whatever. When Rack uses Rock Throw to protect Bam, Levi, man, I'll never forget that. It's a catch-22. Either Bam is an irregular and trivializes the whole climb like Urek, or he has a hard climb and it flies in the face of irregulars as an OP concept. I think he's an OP concept. I don't think that's and that's why it's shown in Power Fetch. It makes sense. I don't disagree with that. I don't think that the climb is. Would you? I don't think the climb has been hard for Bam though. Like I do think he's trivializing it in a lot of ways. But I'm okay with that. But it's just, I still would like some moments of tension and real suspense. I think the problem is a lot of times when I'm there, I'm like, I don't like. I remember at one point in the war, I'm like, you have Doom, you have Paul, you have Yama, you have Evankel, you have White, you have Karaka, you got some Hidden Grove people. I'm like, it's just in my head at the point. I'm like, it's hard for me to be like, are they like? I'm like, they're okay, they'll be fine. Plus,
right, exactly.
Plus, you have Bam, like Bam too. But I keep saying like Bam himself is a monster. So like Bam too. I'm like, oh, like he'll be all right. So. Well, I'm kind of.
Like, listen, the part of yes, we haven't seen anybody else's like climb up the tower, so it's not even like I can confirm how much help that they had or anything, or everybody's climb's different. But here's the thing with Bam's climb: even though he's an irregular, he came into here knowing absolutely nothing. Like he wasn't Yurik or Jihad. They had some level of skill, tenacity, or otherworldly strength when they stepped into the tower automatically. Now, how much it grew or how much it changed within the time that they climbed the tower, we don't know. But they were obviously different when they first stepped into the tower. Ban was different, and one of the reasons Ban's so strong is because he just completely ignores the rules altogether in a different way than they did. Like his ability to manipulate the Shinsu time and just like manipulate certain shit is actually fucking like
I would
crazy.
argue that Bam's ability is the copycat and devouring stuff. Like that's his irregular specialty. With Urek, I'm not sure. I'm gonna say maybe throwing Shinsu at the speed of light. I think we constantly call Jaha like the item merchant. We got a bunch of stuff from the tower, climbing and everything. I'm sure you can see Fate, so can Enryu and stuff. But like,
well, also Jaha was a natural fighting like genius, and Bam is too in his own way. But it's like, yeah, Bam has like copycat ability, he eats stuff. But also, like you said, Bam's just climbing the tower with all this help. Now, circumstances dictate that, right? So we know he has to do that because Jihad's after him, and then he had to deal with stuff with F.U.G, and they're putting his hopes in him. So I understand that, and I get that. But it's just kind of like when you were dealing with Bam with his regular friends, and now you're seeing him with. And also, it's just what some of the things that decided to happen. I just kind of personally, I wish it would have happened differently. Like if Vank and Hell just decided to train Bam and Bam alone, what the fuck did the rest of those guys do? They needed training. They obviously needed help if they were going to stay alive. Is Bam supposed to protect all of them all the time? But obviously now we know, like that one guy wrote,
Bam would have been checked by water jelly. The
side objectives. They're gonna have side objectives and stuff like that. So SIU just what he does is he just keeps Bam's friends out of the way, and they do little things like, oh, Bam really needs this item right now, so let's find a way to teleport on stage and let's throw him this item. And that will be what we did to help in this particular fight. Great job, guys. We'll throw Bam a fishing rod or some random item that he needs at this exact time. Like because they can't fight. Or like look at Hats. Like Hats, his best thing to help in Cha, because he couldn't really fight the people they were fighting with. Oh, let me unlock this sword for a moment so I can be helpful to this scenario. Like Kun, like you said, Kun and Shipley Sue, they'll always be helpful because they make plans. They're smart. But everybody else, especially somebody like in Hat's position or a Knack, like they're supposed to be fighters. So at some point, you know, every time we climb up the tower, even though we're supposed to be dealing with all these big wigs, they're gonna have little small people, I guess, that Bam's crew is gonna have to fight. I guess.
Yep.
They're gonna be bringing smaller people. So I mean, you know, it's whatever now because that's the way things are. So I don't care to contend against it or complain about it anymore. Just personally, I just sometimes wish that it would happen differently or in a way that was like more linear is not the word I'm looking for, right? I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. In a way that was just more it just evolved in a way that made more sense. It's kind of like when SIU does stuff, it's like it's here now, so you have to accept it. And personally, as somebody that just looks at writing stuff like that, I just don't believe that I should just have to accept anything that the writer puts on paper just because y'all think that's what he did and I'm supposed to accept it.
Yep.
So, but that's just me. Do whatever you want. Personally, we're just talking about it. And
I
I'm
loved it.
good with
I
it.
didn't expect that. I saw 11 dislikes. Like, oh, I said, oh, they fire him back. Okay, let's get it. Like I woke up excited to talk about this shit. I was like, oh shit, yes, let's go. A little
Yeah,
Discord.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you
Like
know
I
me,
said,
I like to
yeah.
argue. I like to argue.
I mean,
So.
like I said, like it wasn't that big of a deal. We were running our gimmick. We were playing it up.
Yeah.
People were just like, "Oh my god, y'all say Bam is like the worst person ever." And he's like, yeah. You'll be alright. I mean, I still don't love Bam as a character. I think he's fine at times. He's had some really good moments and some moments that are really jarring to me. Some moments that I don't care. Overall, his character, I didn't really care about this big season 3 growth either. The way that everybody else did too. I thought his peak so far was the stuff with
What
Jihad
was the
and
last
stuff
time
like
Rack
that.
was genuinely helpful? I'm screaming. Sorry. Okay, hold on. We catch up to the chat real quick. Charlie was a dumbass. He gotta go. Why do you guys hurt my feelings like this? See, I miss. That's right, Cody. I miss Charlie. You were trying to do his job. He was just like, yo, I'm trying to earn this paycheck. Everyone has some motivation as well as with TOG. Look at the latest chapters. Even the ops aren't just ops. True. I was like that. Me looking at villains' hairstyle to see how much of a threat they are to Bam. The argument about Bam being a regular should not be relevant. He is not immortal. That should be displayed. Power-ups can be okay, but vulnerability is also important. You just want to, like, I'm just a personally type of individual where, like, I like to see the characters kind of go through trials and tribulations and overcome that in different ways. I do think Bam has had some, but the way that it happens sometimes, I'm like, it just feels a little bit like a gimme. Like, okay, here you go. Like, here's some power guy. Like, it is.
See, and we talked about this before. Being in vulnerable situation does not necessarily. And here's the thing about Tower of God that I thought Tower of God was so unique. I always thought that like Bam being in vulnerable situation does not necessarily mean power for power that the opponent that Bam's fighting has to be stronger than him. I thought the beautiful thing about Tower of God was that you can create situations where the enemy always has the upper hand. Like look at what we're doing now. Like look Yasaracha with this game, like and Machini and Yasaracha with this game. They basically tried to create a situation where they would have the upper hand. I just thought we could have did this at a little bit at the lower levels before we got here. But I always thought there was a way to write this stuff. Or like look at even at Charlie's move. Charlie's move, White Noise, was something that Bam had never seen before. He had no counter. Does that mean that Bam that mean Charlie was stronger than Bam? Probably not.
Nope.
As far as like Shinsu to Shinsu, like probably not. Bam is like ridiculously destructive if we're talking about just his ability to use Shinsu and manipulate it. But Charlie was using something he's never seen.
I love when abilities come into play like that. Like it's like, okay, I'm stronger and faster than this person, but let's say that I'm a physical fighter in nature, and because of some like long distance ability they have, it just makes it difficult for me to fight them. Like I like stuff like that. So when it's so funny how much White Noise meant to us so much. Like, yo, he rattled up his senses like, oh, that's
White
crazy.
White Noise was such a good ability. That's the problem. And like even the girl we see in this chapter is such a good ability.
The time distortion is amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's an
and
amazing
it feels
power.
wasted on these people who don't matter. Like they don't matter in the big. Like you really could have used this to really give Bam and his people problems, and it just disappoints me that we don't get like even like when he first fought Elaine, right? Elaine was using spells. That was something we hadn't seen to that standpoint. She was using something that and Bam was taking injury because it was something he had never dealt with at that time period. So it's like, oh,
and he's a spell breaker.
You caught me off guard. Yeah, he's a spell breaker now, but but at the time he had never dealt with it. Yeah. So it was just like, oh, it's giving them a problem, and that's what I want from a writer. I think that's good writing. I think that's giving your villain at least a puncher's chance of winning the fight.
Yep.
So because like when you take the believability out of the MC, because it's about believability. We all know that the MC is going to prevail at the end. That's how it works. But
I've read stories where the main character dies and loses, by the way. But yeah,
that's true. That's true. Very true. But in most, especially in a shonen style type stuff, this is expected.
Fair enough.
But yeah, but it has to be believable that the opponent could get the upper hand. And for a while there, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have White and Yasaracha and stuff like that, things are looking on the up and up as far as the
What's
villain.
up?
I
What's up,
think
Golden
villains are
Ace?
so important. Villains are so important to any story, but especially any shonen like story. Villains do a lot to carry this stuff. That's why every time Jihad pops on screen, we're like, oh, look at that. That's why That's why we were so disappointed with the Karaka stuff. We were like, ain't he supposed to be like an important villain? An antagonist opposing Bam and Yuri, especially those two particularly. So that's why it was so jarring.
I'm gonna touch on that in a second, but yeah, one of the rack was genuinely helpful. He made a joke, nobody laughed though. Bam will obtain a super rod and Wagner will show up with the master ball as Sarat. Wagner finna catch Jihad like he's Mewtwo. I fuck with the villain. Who this be? It's my guy Vince. It's Vince.
Yes, hello.
Follow him. And I mean, he's in most of my most of my intros and outros. Like the songs that you hear are usually him. Even when the stream is about to start, like it's usually they're his songs. So check him out. Look at my description. I like Bam. I think he's a bit inconsistent. I think I agree with that. I don't think I hate him at the very least. I know people think I hate him. I can't say I love Bam, but I don't dislike him. But yeah, what's up, Golden Ace? Bro, Side Bam's is probably the most consistent dude in the series. Both Rachel and Kut knew what would happen in the Dollar Show. I think Rachel is consistent in the sense that she's not because she's so all over the place. But like in the way that it makes it's very Rachel comes across to me as very human. This is why we can agree Bam vs. Kaiser is the top. I think so. Especially the choreography, the way that he was using the blue ore to like bob and weave through her needle inventory, like the way his legs were coming and stuff too. Like it was really well choreographed. So from an actual actual illustration standpoint, I think I agree with top 3. I don't know if it's a top 3 fight overall
it's
for
top
me.
5. It's top 5.
Top 5 for sure. Top 5 for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what's top 3 though.
By contrast, it's impossible to know what Rachel and Quinn are thinking. That's good though. The whole being caught off guard and having a time limit with blood loss despite being stronger was nice. That was good too, yeah, because it was like, okay, he could win. You could tell he was stronger than it, but he didn't want him to lose too much blood beforehand. Chilling. I don't reach F.U.G. wanted to pull up. I'm just chilling, man. Someone asked me a comment about Midorima. I have to find that again. I'm gonna scroll up in a second. But speaking of villains, do I think Bam can save White? I don't want White to be redeemed. So that's my answer. I wouldn't be shocked if somehow he can do that, but I don't want that. But then again, if you believe that Bam is going to be the person who kind of reforms F.U.G. under him, and then they move to do what they have to do, I could see it happening, or at least making White play nice or temper him. I could see that, but I don't necessarily like that. But yeah, Golden Ace, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling. I'm home for the day because I'm tired. I had a crazy week and weekend, so I'm tired. I'm gonna play Genshin Impact after this on stream. So, but yeah, don't get me wrong. I hate Rachel, but the character is so right in my opinion. That's exactly how I feel about Rachel. Sorry, let me find there's something about Gustang and Midorima that I thought. Where was that, man? What do y'all think about this opinion? Gustang is the Midorima of the 13 Great Warriors. By Midorima, I'm guessing you mean from the Generation of Miracles. I get why you're saying that, especially from like a standpoint of how they look and the glasses and stuff, but Midorima is intelligent, but I would probably argue Akashi was smarter than him. Whereas Gustang has come across to me as probably the most intelligent person we've seen in Tower of God, or up there at least. So, and he's more, and he has his little his horoscope, have to have my lucky item gimmick. Like he's a little goofy, but Gustang hasn't done anything goofy in my opinion. He's very serious for what I've seen. But I get why you say that though. We just hopped in. Yo, what's good? What's good?
Exactly.
We talking about is Bam a good friend? Is Bam a good friend, bro?
I didn't read the latest chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel it. What are you saying though, man? You still down for ramen on Friday?
Yeah. Put in my calendar still. I got you.
Okay. Me, you, Alan, and Warren, I guess.
Yeah, Warren. I'm gonna call that Warren tomorrow. See what's up.
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, we're just I'm just on stream. We're just talking about some Tower God stuff. How far behind are you?
I'm like 2 behind, bro. I wanted to say I'm gonna come link up with you after that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm gonna watch your stream because I haven't even fucking listened to it. I mean, what I watched any I read any of Tower God. Sorry, I'm fried as fuck.
What do you
I'm
think
about
about?
to play some league, so holla.
All right. I'll text you.
Yeah, holla.
All right, don't know. But yeah, I'm saying I think White is the key to the 100th floor. Oh, Arya Han gonna swag on Bam, but without White by his side. It's the way Gus Lang talked down to Iraq. Well, Iraq's friends, I mean. Don't get me wrong, I hate. Yeah, Amina Reem's a little condescending, so I can see that. Bug is a bug, but like, and they're both like in a prestigious class of their own in the sense that Amina Rima is in the Generation of Miracles and Gus Dang's a family head. Like, I can see the overlap. I get it. I disagree overall, but I see where you're coming from. I see the overlap. Arya Han gonna swag on Bam without White by his side. I think. What do you think about that? Like, when they get to 100th floor, do you think Bam takes Arya Han's test on some wreck shit? Is White around? Like, what does that look like? What do you think?
See, yeah, that's kind of funny that people say that because half of the community was arguing at one time that Hats was gonna do it. So that's always so that was or just gonna fight some level of some Ari swordsman. Maybe he wasn't gonna fight the family head, but maybe they were saying he was gonna fight somebody important in there in that family. But I mean, I could see it. I don't think it's impossible. That's why one reason why I'm also saying that, like, does White die here? That's kind of why I kind of asked what was the point of doing this. If you believe in that possibility, that's why I was asking what was the point of White fighting Bam right now? Like, the whole goal is to say, so you're telling me Bam's gonna beat White and then beat whoever he needs to beat to save Jing Sung too? That just sounds like a lot to ask in one arc. To beat two probably high rankers in the same arc, that actually sound kind of actually insane to me. Don't think I would like that very much. And also, just right now, I just didn't see how Bam was gonna beat White even at his full power. If White is as strong as we think he is, it took like 2 or 3 princesses to take White down, or at least a really really strong princess.
Yeah,
to take White down.
Depends on what translation you've seen. I have to go check what the latest version of it was, because I know at one point back when I first read it, it made it sound like he was taking that down by multiple princesses.
Yeah, so it's just like, so it just kind of depends on what you believe. But can I see a scenario where, quote unquote, basically Bam gets a scenario where, because I don't want to, like, if they tried to make White empathetic, that'd be the worst thing ever. That would legitimately be the worst thing in Tower. But if they did something where they had to force White to cooperate, or basically got White out of the way, and then he come back when we need him again, like he had to leave for some reason and like rest up, or he lost his powers and then he can't come back until we need him again. Like, I wouldn't be shocked by that.
All right. So wait, I love Hats do that. My biggest wish for Hats has always been that I want him to defeat a direct descendant from the RDA family. It didn't have to necessarily be the like the RDA Han test, but that would be cool. But I forgot people used to always say that. But imagine Bam redeems White and his father smiles at White, and that's what the test was, to make White not be a monster. I don't like that at all. Yo, beat your
Yeah, that sounds legitimately awful. After what he said to him, he told him to leave and told him to be a demon.
Yeah,
he said he don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, go.
And also, most of the family heads are dickheads. Let's just be honest. They're not great people.
Yep.
So that'd be weird.
Okay, so here's what I want to end with, like this the ultimate thing. Like, obviously, I don't think this guy does not give a crap about his friends. My ultimate problem has just been how it's shown throughout the story. The same thing with the Karaka situation. I don't have a problem with him actually caring about Ha Jin Sung and possibly having a jealousy towards Bam and Jin Sung's relationship. You gotta show me that and sprinkle it in before you even make the complete reveal, because it was very jarring when Karaka said that. I'm like, why do you care? Because the first thing I thought in my mind was when he said, I don't take my mask off in front of people I don't trust, implying I don't trust you. You taught me martial arts, you did what you had to do as an F.U.G member, and that was our relationship. That's how it came across to me until he said this, and this whole 180 switch happened. However, one thing about me and Vince too, we're not stubborn. When we're presented with new information, our opinion can change. We might feel this way right now, but maybe some tidbits and information and things that happen later on makes this come full circle in a way that I like. You never know. But right now, it's just very jarring. When it's like I'm like, his reaction just didn't. I'm like, bro, you do not care about Prince and Arc after. I'm sorry, you don't care about.
Not to not to this extent. I guess that's kind of what we're saying. Just to wrap it up before we wrap it up, it was kind of like, do you care about them to this extent? But that's why I thought what the person said to like, oh, it's the principle behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me because I remember in season 2 when he thought a couple people died, he was like, no, and he was like crying, he was like in tears. I don't even remember if all of them were important. I can't remember who exactly was. It might have been more important people because Rack might have been a part of it, so it might have made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember exactly who exactly he was. But there are times obviously he obviously is not comfortable with people dying on his watch. I just feel like, man, like, listen, this reaction for those two in particular, like, man, like, I'm like, okay, it's not like unbelievable,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, it's just like, hey, were you really with them like that long to care about them to that extent? Like, he could be upset. I feel like he could be like upset about it, but yeah, to that level, it's just a bit much. But like I said, there's probably gonna be a lot of stuff that touches on it more because y'all know how SIU. This is not gonna be a one and done thing of him touching on this.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time with Bam. Bam gonna have a monologue about how he really feels. He's been doing that since Data Jihad at least, and probably even longer than that. But so yeah, as new information comes, like I said, we'll discuss this again in the future.
I did like the energy this morning that the comment section woke up with. I liked it. It was
yeah,
good.
it's cool.
It was great.
Cool. Like,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The comments that make me go ooh are the ones that are like I disagree. I'm like let's go.
That's why I wrote my comment on the video. I was just like, hello everybody, Vanitas here.
Mm-hmm.
Reading the comment section, y'all are correct. Bam does care for them, but kind of the point is that they have been separated for years and we haven't seen any tidbit or anything of him checking on them or trying to interact with them. Based on principle alone, Bam doesn't want anyone dying on his watch because he always feels like it's his fault. While we know they helped him during a dark time right after F.U.G trained him, that was long ago, and the timing for this was kind of jarring. My only point of contention personally is that this is the second time Bam has had this reaction from people that were not Kun, but I do understand Rachel's involvement made that hazy. In parentheses, still don't think that's okay though, LOL.
Mm-hmm.
But also remember, Rachel is involved with this too. So hopefully that gets brought up. SIU will probably also clarify some of these things, and we'll discuss again with future information.
Mm-hmm. Vanitas, are you the guy who's singing the Calabat song? Yes, that's him. That's Vince.
Yeah, that's me.
Him. The Machete song, a lot of my outro, all of them is him, man. If you look at my description of all my videos, you could post a link there. I don't have the link on me right now, but you can post your link in there. Any links you want to post in there, and you can follow him. Is it actually? It's not Hair Detective anymore, is it? Or is it?
No, it's Vincent Vanitas.
Okay.
I'll put it in chat. But yeah, that's my it's my name and my thing now. It's my Twitter handle.
Yeah. But I was heartbroken when Arcappa died. You know what? And I think that, you know what too though? If the daughter thing is true with the earring that we saw and that they're traveling with Rachel and stuff, like a lot of this stuff could truly come full circle in a way we're not expecting. Because even the path, the possible clash and path. Wow, the possible clash they could be maybe have with Team Squid and Sour if those guys all knew and withheld this, and no one actually really in Bam's quote-unquote faction actually really knows that this even happened. So, like, again, it was just my only problem was, like, it just was jarring to me. I'm like, bro, fix your face. They don't care about that. But, again, this could even be, like, what if Bam does introspection to the point where, like, maybe he realizes, like, he's not necessarily super upset, but he's like, yo, I let them die in my watch. I'm supposed to be, you know?
That's what I'm saying. He tends to do that. Like, didn't he do something like that with, like, Ding ding.
Dang,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like this could be a moment where maybe from this moment on he's a lot more of a better leader and friend and kind of, you know, what his thing always say, galvanize the troops, right? Like he does it like that. So you never know again. So all being said, I honestly really love the energy in the comment section. I'm totally okay with it. Like, disagreements do never bother me. I have fun with it. But yeah, we're done for now, guys. What do you guys think of? What do y'all think about Rachel in the end game? End game is probably the point where I would be okay with Rachel amassing some kind of strength and power to be able to deal with Bam or whatever the case is. I think up until that point, I don't want her to be strong because I like the way she is going up the tower by being essentially useless and just manipulative. But Rachel endgame, I think, is probably when she'll. I don't even. It could be an item. It could be given powers. But whatever the case is, I do think she'll have enough power to kind of confront Bam in a physical sense. So So yeah, say thanks for the background entertainment. Of course. I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Oh no, I was gonna say my perfect end game with Rachel is Rachel does all this, does everything that does all this betraying, does all the maniacal stuff, kills people, this, that, and the other. She gets so close to reaching the stars, and then Jihad just shoots her down or something like that. So she doesn't reach it. She
This
gets
is
so close to the
Sparta.
top. Yeah, she gets so close to the top, and then she fails. And then she's like, I did all this and I still didn't get what I wanted. That'd be my perfect thing for her. Don't know if it'll end like that. I do see her kind of dying at the end though, because I think like maybe like her and Bam are gonna have to work together to beat Jihad, but Jihad will clap her.
And there are some people who do think that in some weird way Rachel is actually not on Bam's side. Like she's actually like a good person or something. So there's that rhetoric. I see it every once in a while.